The new full-length Masters of the Universe movie is wrapping up its main filming phase and is already shifting into post-production. Even though the release is still more than a year away, specifically June 5th, 2026, the production is moving at an impressive pace. For a blockbuster of this scale, that kind of speed suggests the studio has everything under control and is confidently staying on schedule. In the coming months, we might even get our first teaser, or at the very least, a logo reveal to set the tone for the rest of the promotional campaign. So far, the only official material that's been widely shared is a promo poster featuring He-Man holding the Power Sword. It's designed in that classic superhero style, a close-up of the main character without showing his face, offering minimal context but maximum atmosphere. It's a character reveal, a first visual statement meant to either remind audiences of the legend or introduce a new generation to it. There are no confirmed images or concept art of the other characters yet, but there's a good chance we'll see Skeletor soon, possibly even Jared Leto's take on the character. The reboot is being directed by Travis Knight, the same filmmaker who gave us Bumblebee. His style has already earned a lot of trust. He knows how to strike that sweet spot between nostalgia and modern appeal, between visual spectacle and emotional depth. That's especially important for a franchise like Masters of the Universe, which used to be massively popular but has spent a long time in the background. This time around, Amazon is handling the production, and they're going all in. The budget is reportedly close to $200 million. That's a major investment, especially considering that while the franchise is iconic, it hasn't been a top box office performer in recent years. But that kind of budget shows the producers have real faith in the project. Ultimately, it'll all come down to how well the creators can translate the spirit of the original for today's audience. Masters of the Universe is a product of 80s pop culture with its bold aesthetics, slightly naive but super charming mythology, and unforgettable characters. If the filmmakers manage to reimagine all that with respect for the source material and a good sense of modern trends, this reboot has every chance to make a big impact. According to early reports, the movie will serve as a spiritual remake of the 1987 movie starring Dolph Lundgren, so this isn't exactly a direct adaptation of the animated series, but rather a modern reimagining of the old live-action movie. While there will be some retcons, the core structure and foundational lore will remain intact. At the center of the story is still Prince Adam, the heir to the throne of Eternia, who transforms into the powerful warrior He-Man using the Power Sword. The lead role will be played by Nicholas Galitzine, and we've already seen the first on-set photos of him in character as Adam. In the shots, he looks like a regular guy, pink button-up shirt, chinos, and Apple Watch. In one photo, he's surrounded by police officers as they confiscate the Power Sword from him. Based on these images, it looks like part of the movie will take place on Earth, just like early rumors suggested. Local authorities seem baffled by a bodybuilder walking around with a massive sword. Apparently, his character gets arrested, possibly for carrying a deadly weapon, and is brought in for questioning. The scene definitely has a comedic edge to it, but it also sets up a fun premise. Magic collides with modern reality, kicking off a cultural clash. Still, despite the Earth-based setting, it's important to remember that the main stage in the lore is Eternia, and from what we've heard, the story will eventually shift there, possibly running parallel to the Earth storyline. Rumors suggest there will be flashbacks revealing Skeletor's origin, back when he was Keldor, brother of King Randor, who betrayed the royal family and eventually became Skeletor. Alongside him, we'll also meet Goatman, a muscular warrior with goat-like features and one of Skeletor's classic henchmen. He'll be played by Hafthor Bjornsson, best known as the Mountain from Game of Thrones. The movie will also feature a wide array of supporting characters from the original lore, both heroes and villains. The full cast list hasn't been revealed yet, but the scale of production and casting hints that this won't just be about a handful of familiar faces. We're looking at a full-blown return of the entire universe. But if the many leaks and early rumors are to be believed, the writers are planning to make some major changes to the familiar lore. We probably won't see He-Man's classic origin in its traditional form. Instead, it looks like the story will introduce a fresh take where Adam isn't the royal heir of Eternia from the start. He's just an ordinary guy living in the modern world. According to the rumored plot, he's a totally unremarkable office worker on Earth with no clue about his true identity. Whatever he once knew about Eternia was erased from his memory when he was a child. But one day, he stumbles upon the Power Sword, and with it, unlocks both his lost memories and his real self. That's how he finds out he's actually a prince, and that his home planet is in danger. Skeletor has already conquered part of Eternia and imposed a dictatorship. It's up to Adam to return home, confront evil, and restore balance. Set photos and leaks suggest the movie is set in the present day. You can clearly see cell phones, Apple Watches, and modern settings. That pretty much shuts down earlier rumors that the film would be set in the 80s to mirror the retro aesthetic of the original animated series. It seems the filmmakers have decided to move away from pure nostalgia and focus on a full-on reboot reboot rather than a tribute. That said, the early plot sounds super typical. A guy finds out he's chosen and sets off to save the world. We've seen this play out countless times, from Thor to Shazam and even Barbie, which also comes from Mattel. If Barbie became a phenomenon and box office smash. But whether the same approach will work for Masters of the Universe is still a big question. Unlike Barbie, this franchise has a much more niche fan base. That's why such a straightforward, by-the-numbers setup raises some concerns. Hopefully Amazon has something more up its sleeve. A surprising plot twist, a bold visual style, or a unique storytelling angle that will elevate the film to something more than just another hero origin story. In any case, it's still too early to make any final judgments. We haven't seen a single finished frame, let alone a teaser. Everything out there so far is raw behind-the-scenes material and unconfirmed leaks, so any real opinions will have to wait until we get at least that first official trailer. It's worth highlighting that Masters of the Universe might just be one of the most troubled projects in Hollywood history. It's hard to think of another film that spent this long and went through so many ups and downs just to finally make it to production. It all started way back in 2005, and since then the project has burned through over a dozen directors, gone through countless script rewrites, and bounced from studio to studio, and only next year, nearly 2 decades later, the movie will finally hit theaters. Honestly, it's hard to even imagine how many alternate versions of the script were abandoned along the way. Whole concepts that could have become movies, but never made it past development hell. At one point in the mid-2000s, none other than John Woo was attached to direct. Then in 2009, the rights landed at Sony, and they made a big splash, announcing plans for a full-blown trilogy. Back then, the execs even compared their vision to Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. They wanted to craft a dark, epic, heroic fantasy on a grand scale. The script was pitched as a mature, gritty spin on the classic myth, totally different in tone from what Amazon is making now. The version we're getting will lean more toward a reimagining, a lighter story with bits of self-aware humor and a wink at genre tropes. There'll still be heroic moments, sure, but this clearly isn't aiming for Middle-earth vibes. The closest we ever came to seeing the film completed was with Netflix. Starting in 2020, they held the distribution rights, not just for animated shows, but for a full-on live-action adaptation. And they moved fast. Several animated projects were launched, and in 2022, development officially began on the movie. The script was written by brothers Aaron and Adam Nee. Directing plans were in the works, and Kyle Allen had already been cast as He-Man. Production reportedly burned through about $40 million before the entire thing was scrapped. No official reason was given, but by 2023, Mattel pulled out of the Netflix deal and started hunting for a new partner. Eventually, the project landed at Amazon. The script was rewritten. Nicholas Galitzine was officially cast as He-Man, and the movie essentially became a reboot of what was once a Netflix production. Originally, filming was supposed to kick off in 2024, but after multiple delays, the cameras finally started rolling on January 6th of this year. The shoot took place in London, where most of the principal photography is now reportedly finished. What to expect from the final movie is still anyone's guess. It could turn out to be a fresh, unexpectedly great adaptation that finds its own audience. But let's not forget, this is a high-risk project. Fueled by Barbie's massive success, Mattel made it clear they want to build out more films based on their classic toy brands. But just because Barbie worked doesn't mean the same formula will work here. Without a sharp script, compelling characters, and a smart approach to adaptation, this movie could easily fall flat. For now, all we can do is wait and hope that the first trailer gives us some real answers.